Deshaun Watson in the Cleveland Browns offense is looking cooked. Now, if you watch the Monday Night Football game that we just had, the Browns versus the Steelers, you know what I'm talking about. Or if you really watched any game with Deshaun Watson playing as quarterback for the Cleveland Browns, you really know what I'm talking about. Because I'm not going to lie, things in Cleveland are not looking good and stuff is just looking all around cooked. But before I get into it, this breakdown about this offense and what this team's looking like for the future, make sure you drop a like, subscribe, and comment what you guys think about this Browns offense. Because in my opinion, things are not looking good. And let's get into it. In my opinion, for the right breakdown of this, I think we got to start when Deshaun Watson got traded to Cleveland. I think that's where we really got to start with this story that we have today. So in the beginning of the story, Deshaun Watson would request a trade from the Houston Texans, and then he would end up sitting out a year. Then we'd have a whole bunch of allegations against him, and just a whole bunch of stuff happened, but he did not play football for a year. He sat out, and then a trade finally happened where he got traded off the Houston Texans. Deshaun Watson would get traded to the Cleveland Browns, which in my opinion was a very interesting location at the time. The Texans received 3 first-round picks of 22, 23, and 24, 1 third-round pick in 2023, and 1 fourth-round pick in 2024, and the Browns received Deshaun Watson and a 2024 fifth-round pick. So basically, the Browns gave up a lot. The Cleveland Browns said they are done with Baker Mayfield, and it was time to put all their eggs in one basket for Deshaun Watson. I mean, when Deshaun Watson was in Houston, he was looking like an MVP candidate. He was throwing for a ton of yards, but not a lot of guys on offense, and all around, he was looking like a top 5 and amazing quarterback in the NFL at the time. And what I'm about to tell you guys is very important because the Browns, man, they really love Deshaun Watson. Before he even played a game for them, they said, you know what, we are for sure putting our eggs in all in one basket. I think he's going to return to that MVP level form, because this is what they gave him. They gave him a 5-year, $230 million contract. Now, here was the problem with the contract. Of course, he gets $46 million a year. That's his average salary. Now, the problem with this is the whole contract was guaranteed. $230 million of the contract was guaranteed, and that had a whole effect on the NFL later down the road. The quarterbacks getting their deals, such as Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, stuff like that. That had a big impact on the NFL and how things were done. This was huge, and of course, some of the owners were mad, and just this will probably never happen again anytime soon, because this contract right now is looking horrible for the Cleveland Browns. So let's get into it. Let's see why this contract is truly looking so horrible for the Cleveland Browns. Because like I said, his stats last year and just everything that I've seen from him this year, I know it's only been 2 games, but stuff is just not looking good at all. So last year in the 2022 season, Deshaun Watson would of course be suspended for 11 games because of all the allegations that came out. So we'd only play 6 games towards the end of the year, and they were not very good games. Now, some people would say that, oh, he was just looking a little rusty, you know, he's trying to shake off the rust. I mean, if you look at the stats, they don't look too bad. I mean, 52 completion percentage, 1,000 yards, 7 TDs, and 5 interceptions. I mean, you look at that, that's not really that bad until you look at his QBR, and he has a QBR of 40. But what I saw from Watson last year, I was like, well, maybe there's a chance that he shakes off the rust in the offseason, because if you look at these stats, it's not too horrible, but it's like, you never know. If you see some of the clips of him playing, he does look a little bit rusty, and things don't look 100% like he's been there, but it gets way worse. So this Browns team that I'm going to talk about right now was getting some hype through the offseason. A lot of people thought if Watson returned, including myself, thought if the Watson returned that this Browns team might be something great, and they might go ahead and make playoffs. I mean, they got some weapons: Elijah Moore, Amari Cooper, Donovan Peoples-Jones, of course, Nick Chubb, and the defense really got repaired and stuff, and it's honestly looking like a nice team until they played their first game of the season. Now, the Cleveland Browns beat the Bengals 3-24. Now, if you tell anyone that without context, people think that's great for the Browns. They beat a team that went to the AFC Championship game last year, and that's really huge. Well, let's add some context to it. Deshaun Watson that game had 16 for 29 on passes. He only had 154 yards throwing. He had 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and I mean, he had a touchdown rushing, so I mean, he had 2 touchdowns and 1 interception, but those yards and those completions, they're just not there for me. I mean, only 154 passing yards. Now, you can make an excuse the weather was bad this game, you know, it's just one game, the weather's not looking good, but hey, at least the Browns won it, which in my opinion, the Browns really won this game because Cincinnati's offense was just not playing that good, and I really think the Cleveland defense has taken a step up this year, but that's besides the point. Watching this game, these stats aren't looking good, but some people can make an excuse, oh, the weather and all that, so you know what, I'll give y'all a little bit of a pass, but Watson's stats, in my opinion, still did not look good in this game until we get to week 2, this game that, of course, was played versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. Now, this is where stuff really starts to happen, we really need to have a conversation. He was horrible versus the Steelers. That's all I really need to say. It was horrible. Now, he was 22 for 40 on passing. That's not good whatsoever. I mean, he had 235 passing yards. That's up from last week. And this is where stuff that the box score will not tell you. You know what, guys? He had a pick 6 on the first play of the game. His first snap throws an interception. It's a pick 6 to the Steelers. They go ahead and score 6. Now, he had 2 fumbles this game. One was, of course, a lost fumble. And the other fumble was TJ Watt's first score of his career. Now, this Browns would eventually lose this game 22-26. You would be like, oh, the Browns didn't lose by that much. This offense is still concerning, and there's another reason why I think this offense is concerning. Only did Deshaun Watson play a questionable game, and I think he's going to continue this trend on for a while. Nick Chubb, the heart and soul of the Browns offense, in my opinion, was injured this game, and he had a super bad injury. Like I said in my YouTube short that I made in my TikTok, prayers out to Nick Chubb, man. I really hope he can recover from this injury. We can see him back on the field, because one of my favorite running backs in the NFL. But like I said, he suffered a horrible injury, just all around terrible, and he will be out for the remainder of the season. In my opinion, Chubb is the running back of this offense. He is the heart and soul. That is that guy that does a lot of the dirty work on that offense. He is that guy, and without him, in my opinion, I think this Cleveland offense is really going to struggle. And just based on what Deshaun Watson has shown me so far, I just really think they're going to struggle. I don't know if Watson's going to be able to go back to that Houston prime form and all that. I don't know if that's going to happen. Maybe one day during the regular season this year, it'll just all of a sudden click and Watson will be right back. But honestly, I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, he took a year off from football. He had 11-game suspension. There's just a lot of rust there, and I truly do not know if Deshaun Watson is going to be able to come back. Like I showed in those stats in that game that he played versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. But don't get me wrong, the Steelers have an amazing defense, but I just don't think that Deshaun Watson that we saw in Houston is going to come back. And with that, that leaves the Browns a lot of questions. I mean, they dumped a ton of money into this man. Like I said, that contract with $230 million guaranteed, I think in the future, that is going to bite them drastically, and they're going to regret doing that. And it was just all around not a good thing. Now, the future of this Cleveland Browns team, for at least the future of this year, things are going to be interesting. I do not think the Browns are going to make the playoffs. From Watson's play and what I've seen so far, I really don't think he's going to break out, and I really think he just isn't that guy in Cleveland right now, and stuff isn't looking good. Like I said, I don't think the Browns are going to make the playoffs, especially in this AFC North division. I know the Bengals are struggling right now, and the Steelers offense look kind of mediocre, and of course the Ravens are undefeated 2-0. I just think in this AFC North division, things are going to be tough, things are going to struggle, and I just don't think this Cleveland offense and this Cleveland team has what it takes to go ahead and make a playoff spot this year. Just because of Deshaun Watson's play, it's just very questionable right now. In my opinion, Deshaun Watson right now is not a good NFL quarterback. Like I said at the beginning of the video, drop a comment. I really want to know what you guys think about this Browns team. I think the defense is trending upwards, but just the offense, especially with this Nick Chubb injury and Deshaun Watson trending down, things are not going to look good. If you enjoyed the video, please drop a like and subscribe. It would be very much appreciated. Also, if you watch those 2 videos right there, if you like this video, I think you guys also might like those 2 videos right there. It would be very much appreciated, and I will see you guys in the next video.